Welcome to the latest Evershed Sutherland Legal Insights podcast.
Welcome to the first in our podcast series, focusing on employment and education-related matters in the Middle East. My name's Corrine Sobbers, and I'm a Principal Associate at Evershed Sutherland. I've been an employment lawyer for over 10 years, with a particular focus on the education sector. I'm based in our office in Doha and advise on employment, labour and education-related matters in Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, alongside my colleagues in our regional Middle East employment team. Today, I'm really pleased to be joined by Alice Townley-Smith from our employment and education team in the UK to talk about safeguarding for educational institutions in the Middle East, policies, training, and legal considerations. Many of you listening may be parents who have recently received your child's safeguarding policy to acknowledge, or you may be responsible for the preparation and implementation of such a policy within your establishment. Either way, Alice, can we start with considering, firstly, what is meant by safeguarding and what are the general obligations for education establishments and institutions?
Put simply, safeguarding means protecting people's health, well-being, and human rights, and enabling them to live free from harm, abuse, and neglect. Vulnerable groups in this context usually means children and vulnerable adults. In terms of general obligations for education establishments in the Middle East, the leadership team or governing body of an institution should make arrangements for ensuring that their functions relating to the conduct of the institution are exercised with a view to safeguarding and promoting the welfare of children, or indeed vulnerable adults receiving education or training at that institution. Safeguarding and promoting the welfare of children and vulnerable adults includes protecting individuals from maltreatment, preventing impairment of a person's mental and physical health or development, ensuring that children grow up in circumstances consistent with the provision of safe and effective care, and taking action to enable all to have the best outcomes. Of course, the obligation does not just rest with the leadership team, but with everybody. All staff have a responsibility to provide a safe environment in which children can learn, identify children who may be in need of extra help, who are suffering or likely to suffer from harm, take appropriate action, working with other services and agencies as needed. All staff should therefore need to be aware of the safeguarding systems, policies and procedures within the institution, for example, child protection policies.
Thank you, Alice. And in terms of how does an institution address these obligations in practice, achieving these objectives requires systems designed to prevent unsuitable people working with vulnerable groups, promote safe practice and challenge poor and unsafe practice, identify instances in which there are grounds for concern about welfare, take appropriate action to respond to safeguarding concerns, and contribute to effective multi-agency working. Practically, this will include ensuring policies, procedures, and training are effective, legally compliant, consistent with local customs, updated annually, and are publicly available. Ensuring the institution contributes to interagency working where applicable. Ensuring there is a designated safeguarding lead. Ensuring policies and procedures are followed by all staff. Considering how children may be taught about safeguarding and preventing those who pose a risk of harm from working with children. We are advising a number of institutions in relation to policies that they have in place and applying those in practice in the context of the local customs and laws.
In terms of policies, there should be a clear and concise policy specifically relating to safeguarding child protection. This policy needs to set out the expectations of all and the processes in place to prevent issues arising, but also in terms of how to deal with safeguarding issues when they arise. As safeguarding is embedded in everything an institution does, it also needs to feed through most other policies such as code of conduct, parent handbooks, student handbooks, confidentiality, data protection, social media, and complaint policies. In terms of training and implementation, having the right documents in place is the starting point, but staff need to be trained as how to implement the policies effectively. And of course, there always needs to be an element of common sense and judgment when applying policies in practice. As safeguarding issues are often very sensitive and can present in a number of ways, safeguarding training needs to not just be something that is thought about on staff induction, but staff need to keep updated and therefore trained regularly. There may also be special training requirements for senior management and those who may have to investigate, interview and draft documentation presenting investigation findings and outcomes, which may need to be provided to regulatory authorities and other parties. It will always be useful to carry out a review after incidents which necessitate use of those policies to check whether any further changes are needed and what learning points have arisen.
Yes, and many institutions operating within the Middle East choose to apply best practice from other jurisdictions, such as the United Kingdom, US, or Asia. And where they may be affiliated with other institutions, which is fine, but it's also crucial that all safeguarding policies and issues are considered in the context of the local laws, such as the applicable labour law, penal code, and child protection laws, which raise other issues that need to be considered, such as what can be reported and to whom, who can be informed of what and when, and what duties are there to report. What are the potential legal consequences for all parties involved in any particular investigation strategy adopted? The local laws and potential offences and how these may be managed with minors may be very different to practice in other countries, and these matters therefore need to be extremely carefully navigated. And so all parties involved will need to be sensitively managed by institutions. If you need advice in relation to policies, procedures, training, or managing investigations, or would like to know more about our education sector experience, please do get in touch.
Thank you for listening to the Evershed Sutherland Legal Insights podcast.